Hello and welcome to Fight News Now Extra. I'm John Pollock. We've got John Ramdien and Robin Black coming up in a couple of minutes to form the panel. Today we're going to talk about some encouraging news for Nick Diaz. Vitor Belfort has changed locations for his third fight with Dan Henderson, and it appears that we have a new main event for the UFC's Fight Pass event in Las Vegas this coming December. There looks to be a change to the main event of the UFC's Fight Pass event on December the 10th in Las Vegas, with Joanne Calderwood reportedly out of her fight with Paige Van Zandt. Justin Buchholz of Team Alpha Male stated on the team's podcast program that Van Zandt is now going to be fighting Rose Namajunas with Calderwood off of the card. Fight Network has reached out to both Calderwood and Van Zandt's management for confirmation of the bout, and we're awaiting a response. Marcelo Alonso at SureDog.com recently spoke with karate legend and jiu-jitsu black belt Benicio Antony, who has worked with Vitor Belfort dating back to 2001 on a regular basis. He spoke to SureDog recently and stated that not only is he working with Belfort for this third fight with Dan Henderson next weekend, but that Belfort has completely left the Blackzilians team and is only training with his new camp, OTB, in Boca Raton, Florida. The third fight between Belfort and Dan Henderson goes down on November the 7th in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And settlement talks are apparently ongoing between the camp of Nick Diaz and the Nevada Athletic Commission. Mark Ramundi at MMAfighting.com reported about the talks on Tuesday night and stated that not only could a settlement be reached, but that Diaz could be fighting as early as 2016. Nick Diaz made a post on Instagram noting that the talks with the commission and his legal team are, quote, going well. We are back on Saturday night, November the 7th, with a 1-hour pre-fight show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, getting you set for the card from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and then keep it locked on Fight Network at 8 p.m. Eastern Time that night for the undercard in Sao Paulo. Here with John Ramdien and Robin Black, lots of news items to discuss. First of all, Nick Diaz, it looks like there is a light at the end of the tunnel. He is currently, or his legal team is in settlement talks. This will be a step forward, I think, for the Nevada Athletic Commission to have to publicly admit we really screwed this up and going to have to reduce this ban on Nick Diaz, which I will believe it when I hear it from this Nevada Athletic Commission, which, I mean, there's been an ego that has been involved in this whole case from start to finish.
Is there any repercussions for the Athletic Commission in this?
Do you expect there to be?
I don't expect them. That's why they can do this. They can go out and they can make Nick Diaz feel the heat, feel the pressure, has to go out and spend money now to get this thing dealt with his legal team. And what happens? The Athletic Commission, there's no repercussions, so why wouldn't they do this in the future? If they feel slighted, if they feel that Nick Diaz has disrespected the commission, they can do this to any fighter moving forward.
Well, there may be some motivation to not do it, because if you're doing it motivated by ego, and they were, and you're motivated by ego, you're motivated by power, you're motivated by the ability to feel more important, and the whole world makes fun of you, mocks you for that ego, crushes you back down and brings you back to reality and says, you guys are jerks. When that happens publicly, sometimes a good person, good people, a good business backs up a little bit and goes, oh yeah, we got a little out of control there. And you know what? There was no shame in realizing you were out of line and apologizing, and I hope that's what they do.
Do you, if you are Nick Diaz and you want to really push the subject here, the fact that this guy was suspended, it took him out of any conversation for any of these big cards that are coming up in December, too late to get ready for a January card potentially. There are some damages here if you're Nick Diaz, I would say. Now, the other side says, hey, if this guy gets to fight in early 2016, after he was supposed to be gone 5 years, let's just go with what is given to us right now. But nonetheless, this has really altered Nick Diaz's entire year in the sport, of where he could have had 2 or 3 fights by the time that year was up in between the Anderson Silva fight.
Very true, but I mean, you just have to look at his history. It's not as if Nick Diaz has been having 3 fights a year over the last 5 years. And I'm sure
before that he was having a lot.
Yeah, sure. But I'm sure his legal team, they're going to examine this whole situation. Do we do this? Do we not? Do we keep our mouth shut? But just the fact that Nick Diaz is going to be back sometime in 2016.
Tentatively.
Sure. Let's just say middle of 2016. Still pretty exciting. Still a young guy, continuing to evolve as a mixed martial artist. And there are so many fights. Come on, a rematch between Robbie Lawler and Nick Diaz. If Robbie Lawler remains the 170-pound champion, sign me up.
Part of me gets it. Nick Diaz, his legal people are going, look, okay, they need to save face too.
Yeah.
You know, they were wrong. You never should have been suspended in the first place. They were using an outlier of a test to suspend you, and they treated you like crap. Nothing should have been there. But Nick, let's just let them save face a bit. Let's let them still act like they're the boss and suspend you. I see why Nick would do that. But the old Nick would have told them to shove it up their ass.
He still might.
And we love that about you, Nick Diaz, but we also get it. As much as we can complain about Nick Diaz and his treatment, this amount of support that has come up from the ground, media, who are idiots, fans, Free Nick Diaz, Free Nick Diaz hashtag. I mean, the dude should be on the cover of High Times any minute right now. So this hasn't been the worst thing in the world for him if they do the right thing still.
All right, Vitor Belfort, it was revealed.
Speaking of drugs.
We know that he had been forming his own camp out of Florida, but now has divested himself completely of the Blackzilians. I mean, this is a guy that notoriously moved around camps quite a lot. And this is not something new for Vitor Belfort. Even coaches in the past that have commented on that regarding Vitor Belfort. Do you think that, I mean, there's two schools of thoughts. There are some that believe you have a certain loyalty to a camp, and there's others that say, you know, you move around, you learn from different people, and you find the environment that works for you.
I understand both sides. I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there that point the finger at Vitor Belfort as a gym jumper, and we don't want guys like that in our team. But Vitor Belfort as an individual, as the entity, I think he has to look at his own path. And if, you know, there could be a time where he goes to go, hey, let's go to Team Quest. I'm just using that for an example. And they say, no, we know your reputation. We don't want you here. But Vitor Belfort is one of the most successful fighters in mixed martial arts. It would make sense why he would want to build his own team.
While you guys were chatting and camera one was on Pollock, my phone vibrated in my pocket and I thought, oh yeah, that's right. I sent a text to a fighter asking, why did Vitor leave the Blackzilians? And the answer is,
This is breaking news.
why does Vitor leave anywhere?
Yeah.
And you know what? That kind of says it all for me. It's his reputation. Vitor it's very special in many ways. He's a special athlete. He's super motivated. He's mentally unique. There's a lot of things about him. That's why he's been a superstar all this time. But he's got his flaws, and so does everybody else. And why does Vitor leave anywhere? I think that's your answer.
But, I mean, you also have friends down at the Blackzilians, and Vitor's reputation is he's a great guy. People like being around Vitor Belfort. So who knows what's going on in his head. This is the path that he needs, that he believes, to be successful in mixed martial arts.
Well, that was a guy from the Blackzilians who texted me.
So, there you go. Dropping hints there.
Dropping
There's
no
one Robin
names
Black.
right there.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Stay tuned. We've got more Fight News Now Extra, and it is coming up.